So a couple of months ago, I bought and unboxed the all-new MacBook Pro 14-inch with M1 Pro chip inside, with the sole purpose of using this laptop for my DJ gigs. This laptop was a direct upgrade to my 13-inch 2015 MacBook Pro, which has served me incredibly well over the years as a DJing laptop. However, because of the age of the machine, the battery life has degraded, the performance just isn't quite up to scratch anymore, especially for DJing, and also the fans pretty much run at maximum speed the whole time now, I guess because of the dust that has accumulated inside. Now, don't get me wrong, I was more than happy to upgrade to another 13-inch MacBook Pro. I've never needed a bigger laptop size-wise, but one thing that I absolutely hated what Apple done on the newer 13-inch Pro models is the removal of the ports. As a DJ, you need to connect your decks, you need to connect your controller, and you need your laptop powered up the whole time. And the fact that you've only got 2 ports on the MacBook Pro 13-inch just wasn't very good in my opinion. However, having listened to the rumors that the 14-inch models would have those ports reinstated, I decided to wait, and the gamble paid off. After doing some research into the specifications of the new 14-inch MacBook Pros, I decided that the base model was all that I needed, with one little upgrade, and that is the size of the hard drive, just because of the size of my music library. After using the MacBook Pro 14-inch for a couple of months now at my DJ gigs, I feel that I can now comment and give you my honest opinion and review and let you know if I think this is a suitable device for DJing on. To kick us off then, let's talk about what I least like about the new MacBook Pro 14-inch, and the first thing is the shape. Now, when I unboxed it, I quite like this different looking laptop. It's a lot squarer than the predecessor. However, I fell out of love with that quite quickly. I just feel like this new shape looks a lot more old-fashioned. It feels more blocky. Don't get me wrong, it still feels rugged, it still feels solid, which is really important for a demanding environment such as a nightclub. But I just don't like that blocky shape that this new laptop has. I much prefer the predecessor. The other thing I dislike about this laptop is the weight of the laptop screen, or the lid. Now, you're probably thinking that's quite insignificant. However, if you have your laptop screen half open, then you do risk the weight of it forcing the laptop lid to close, and that makes the laptop go to sleep. Now, you might be sat there thinking, well, who works with their laptop lid half open? That's ridiculous. Well, I was DJing with a guest DJ the other week in the club, and I moved the laptop to one side, closing the lid halfway down so my song would keep playing whilst he was setting up. And because of the weight of the screen, it closed the laptop, sending it to sleep, and then the music stopped. So it created a bit of a pause on the night. I've never ever had that issue with my old laptop. So yeah, not a massive fan of the weight of the screen. However, that is a personal thing that I'm not a fan of. I can't see it being an issue for many people. Now we've got my couple of frustrations with the laptop out of the way, let's talk about what's actually good and if this laptop is good enough for DJing. Starting off with the screen then, and this screen is absolutely phenomenal. I would actually compare it to my OLED TV at home. The colours are fantastic, the brightness is great in dark environments, and that notch at the top, well, I don't even notice it. I get that it would cause a problem if you have big menu items running along the top of the screen with some programs, but for DJ software, it really does not cause an issue. And to be quite honest, because Rekordbox is like dark, you just don't notice that the notch is there. Moving down then to the keyboard, and the keyboard on this laptop provides an excellent writing experience when searching for songs and when browsing on the internet. I can't say I've written an essay on this laptop, but it certainly fulfills my needs very well. It's a backlit keyboard, which is kind of expected on a MacBook Pro, but very good and handy in a nightclub situation, which is where I'm predominantly using this laptop. Now, I can't really comment on the touch bar if I miss it or if I don't miss it, because I've never had a MacBook Pro with one. the function keys definitely serve a purpose and they are pretty easy to use. And in terms of using this laptop in a dusty environment that is a nightclub, I know that the previous MacBook Pro models had that butterfly keyboard which made the keys unusable if dust got caught underneath. But all those problems certainly seem to have been fixed, as I have had no issues so far. So the keyboard gets a thumbs up from me. Moving on to ports then, and this laptop has an adequate amount of ports to connect all of your DJing equipment via the 3 USB-C ports, and it's also great to see the reintroduced MagSafe power connection. So it's unlikely that you're going to need to buy loads of USB hubs in order to connect all of your equipment. It's also great to see an increased number of cables now available on the market, meaning a reduction for the need of dongles and adapters. However, if you are connecting via Ethernet, an adapter is still required. I can't really give Apple a point here though, because this is just simply the amount of ports that should be appearing on a pro grade laptop. They should have never removed them in the first place. Another noteworthy point is the onboard sound system. Now, when I'm downloading music, I often like to preview tracks, and the sound on this laptop out of the speakers is nothing short of remarkable. It is the best sounding laptop that I have ever heard. Apparently the 16-inch is even better, but nonetheless the 14-inch is extremely impressive and has made for a very enjoyable listening experience. And finally, let's talk about processing power and battery life. And I can say that the M1 Pro chip has not let me down so far. When I drag and drop tracks into Rekordbox for analysis, it does it super quickly and it can analyze multiple tracks at once. Compare that to my old 13-inch MacBook Pro. Rekordbox would analyze one track at a time. The fans would switch on and the laptop would get hot very, very quickly. None of that with the M1 Pro chip. In fact, I have never heard the fans switch on this laptop. In terms of using Rekordbox in performance mode, the tracks load very quickly into the decks. The graphics are super smooth on screen, and I have tried to put Rekordbox through its paces by adding loops, using effects, all at the same time. Stuff that generally takes up a bit more processing power, and the laptop has coped absolutely fine. However, I do get that using music is probably not the most labor intensive task on a laptop. Other things such as video editing will test the processor a lot more, but as I've mentioned, this is a DJing laptop only, so the processor is more than adequate for DJing, and this is the base model. And then finally, battery life, and out of the box the battery has proven to be excellent. Apple are quoting between 11 and 17 hours on a single charge, and I can quite believe that. However, let's do this test in a couple of years' time, because I know that laptop batteries do degrade pretty quickly, just like mobile phone batteries. At the moment, I do think that I could probably do a whole DJ gig off of a single charge and still have battery left, but I'm not so confident in a couple of years' time. And that being said, I do generally have my laptop connected to power when I am DJing. So there we have it, my review of the 14-inch M1 MacBook Pro for DJing, and I think it's a perfectly adequate laptop for DJing. Do I think you only need the base model? Yes. If all you are doing is using it for DJing, perhaps upgrade the hard drive like me if you've got a big music library. But it's a brilliant laptop if you have the budget. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you haven't done so already. It helps push this out to other like-minded individuals. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already by clicking down there. And if you haven't checked out my last video, that's up there for you, and I will see you in the next one.